and we will get started. I have a yoga block. You do not need one. I wrecked my finger with a knife, so I can't put the weight on my hand. But I'm going to use them. Again, you don't need them. All you need is a small ball. So just first things first, take a seat on your mat. You can have your legs crossed in front of you or straight out, whatever is more comfortable. If you need to sit up on something, that's totally fine. Just make sure that your ribs are stacked right over your hips and your spine is nice and long. So think like someone's pulling you up from the crown of your head. And then just bring your hands onto your ribs. So you have your fingers on the front ribs and your thumb on your back ribs. And then just relax your shoulders. Take a nice big inhale. Feel your ribs expand all 360 degrees. So your ribs should press into your thumb and your fingers all around. And then take a nice big exhale and feel your ribs come away from your fingers gently. And then take another big inhale. Relaxing your shoulders, and then exhale. Feel the abdominals start to wrap towards one another in the front, the ribs coming towards one another. And then again, take a nice big inhale and then exhale, same thing. One more breath like that. I didn't do something. And then you're gonna take one more breath like that, but this time you're gonna feel the lift of your pelvic floor. So feel that little lift from the bottom of your pelvis, then your abdominals wrap, and then your ribs. And then just let your arms come down by your side and reach your left hand out over to the side and side bend up and over to the left. Feel your right sitting bone rooting down into the floor. And then come up and over and side bend to the other side. And then one more time to each side, reaching your ribs up towards the ceiling, taking a breath while you're in that side bend. Shoulders are nice and relaxed. And then over to the other side one more time. And then come all the way up tall. Bring your hands onto your knees and then just think about lifting your chest gently towards the ceiling, like your chin is going up. And then round back. Your ribs come towards your hips slightly, your head can drop a little, and then again forward. Just starting to move your spine a little, and then round back. One more time, lifting up towards the ceiling. And then back down. Good, and then from here, you're gonna come onto all fours. And you don't need your ball just yet, but keep it close by. So here you want your knees right underneath your hips, your hands underneath your shoulders, and you're in a nice long spine. Take one more breath as you were doing before, inhaling 360 degrees. Feel your ribs really expand out to the side, and then as you exhale, feel your abdominals gently draw away from the floor. And then you're just gonna curl your tailbone under, round your spine up towards the ceiling. And then uncurl your spine, come into slight extension, lift your chest, and feel like you're gently pulling through your collarbone. And then again, round your spine up towards the ceiling. And then lengthen your collarbone, looking gently ahead of you. One more time. And then come to that nice neutral spine. And then you're gonna send your left hip bone up towards your ribs and then look over your left shoulder. So you're getting a little contraction in your left side and a stretch in your right. And then come back to center, find that length, and then side bend again with length. So you're not just crunching into that right side. And then to the center, and then again. So your hips are staying square to the floor. You're not lifting one. You're just doing that little hip hike as you get a little stretch. One more time to each side. Good, and then find that length in the center. And then from here, you're going to curl your right toes under and extend your leg long, and then you're gonna drag it back in. Your toes can curl under as you extend, or you can just stay on the front of that foot, whatever is more comfortable for you, pressing evenly away from the floor. Your elbows are not hyperextended. Hips stay square, neck is nice and long. And then inhale, and exhale, and 2 more like this. And last one. Good, and then bring your right knee underneath you. Just notice how much of a weight transfer you have. You want to try to keep yourself nice and square. And then minimizing that weight transfer, a little extra pressure in that left hand, extend your left leg and then drag it back in. And then extend and drag. Just notice whether or not you're starting to drop your abdominals, draw your ribs towards your hips, and making sure your breath starts before you move. 3 more here. 2. Last one. And then bring that knee underneath you. Square yourself off, and then you're just gonna lift your right hand off the mat and then lower it down. And then lift the left and lower down. And right, down and left. Good. Gently lifting that hand off, feeling your abdominals, get that little extra engagement, a little catch as you lift to help support you. Last one to each side. And then with both hands on the floor, you're gonna sink your chest towards the ground. So your shoulder blades come towards your spine, and then press up, press your shoulder blades away from your spine. And then again, slide the scapula in and then press up. The rest of your spine stays still. Think about reaching the crown of your head towards the wall in front of you. 2 more like this. Finding all those muscles around your shoulder. Last one, press up. Good. And then from here, you're going to extend your right leg long, lift the left leg up, extend it long, and then lift it all the way up. And then bend it in underneath you and extend. Bend in and extend. Again, hips are square to the floor. Ribs are drawn towards your hips and then nice neutral spine. 3. 2, shoulder is relaxed away from your ear. Last one. And then tap it towards the floor and then float it up. Tap and lift. Again, check in, making sure you're in a nice neutral spine. Only lifting your foot off the floor as much as you can without that arch in the low back. Last one. And then bring your left hand, right knee down. Do a little cat-cow. Find yourself in that nice neutral spine one more time, and we will switch sides. So left leg extends, right arm extends, and then lift, and then bend them in underneath you, keeping that neutral spine, and extend. And then bend them in, and extend. And in. 4 more. 3, neck is long, don't let it drop towards the floor. 2, and last one. Leaving it long, you're gonna lift and lower. Again, don't worry about the height, and think from lifting from your hamstring, really pressing out of that left hand so you're not sinking towards the floor. 3, 2, and last one, bring your knee and hand underneath you. And then you're just gonna sit back on your knees for a second. Take your hands, tuck your thumb in, and then make a fist with your thumb inside of your hands. And then you're gonna put the backs of your hands on the floor and then press your arms straight, and you'll probably get a pretty intense stretch in the backs of your wrists. It's horrible, which means that I probably need to do this like for an hour every day. Good. And then from here, go ahead and grab onto your ball or pillow, either one. And if with the pillow you feel like you're not getting any resistance, you're just gonna bring your hands pressing against one another. But either way, have something, or your hands squeezing one another or touching one another. And you're just gonna stay stacked nice and tall. So knees are tucked up, or pelvis is gently tucked under. You're in a neutral pelvis still. Ribs are right over your hips and hips are over your knees. And your elbows are gently by your side, your shoulders are relaxed. And you're just gonna take a nice big inhale. And then as you exhale, feel the abdominals wrap, ribs coalesce in, pelvic floor lift as you give the ball a little squeeze, and then inhale, release. And then exhale, Give it a little squeeze and release. And exhale, squeeze. And inhale. And exhale, squeeze. One more like this. Good. And then from here, you can have, or take a big inhale, and then as you exhale, give a little gentle squeeze. So you're keeping that abdominal connection, and you're gonna breathe more into your ribs this time, but you're keeping that engagement through the core. And you're gonna hinge back, and as you do, squeeze the ball, extend your arms. And then bend your arms as you bring the ball in and your torso back upright. So the tailbone is staying tucked under. You're hinging back from your knees like you're in a nice long line, or in a nice long line, like you're stuck between two panes of glass, and then back in. 4 more. Pressing your feet and shins into the floor as you hinge back. And then back up. 2. And then last one. Good. Pull the ball in. Now you're gonna lift your arms up overhead and then sit back down like you're doing a little squat, and then tuck the tailbone under gently at the top. I'm sorry, bring your arms in front of you, that'll be better. And then drop the hips and then squeeze the ball as you lift, keeping the arms straight out. Good. Think like you're pulling the mat apart as you lift up. Ribs are staying right over your hips. Hinge back and up. Give that ball a little squeeze for 3, 2. Last one. And then you're gonna take the ball behind you and you're gonna hinge forward, and you can either squeeze the ball or you can do this with your arms straight back behind you, your choice, and just think about squeezing something. But you're gonna sit back halfway, come up halfway, and then give a little squeeze. So sit back halfway, up, squeeze. Back, up, squeeze. So you're doing like a little pulse here. Externally rotating from the shoulders. Your arms are not straight, that's fine. But really think about squeezing in from the triceps. For 3, keeping this half range of motion. 2. Last one, pause at the top of your motion. You can drop the ball, bring your arms out in front of you, and then just tuck the tailbone under, and then untuck it. And then tuck it under, and release. Drawing the ribs up towards your hips as you tuck under for 4, 3, 2 more. And last one, and then come all the way up. Good. You can bring your right foot in front and slide your left knee back a little, and then just come up into a little lunge. Again, tailbone tucked under, so you're protecting your low back here, stretching out the thigh and hip flexor on that left side. And then come all the way up and switch sides. Good. And if we're gonna do one more thing on our knees, so if it is uncomfortable to be kneeling, you can just fold your mat in half. And then come back to your knees. And then here, whether you want to hold the ball or not is your choice. You can also stay upright in your kneeling position, or you can extend one leg out long. You may find that one is harder than the other, but that will be like all on you, what is harder, what is easier. Do what feels better. So you're gonna lift your right arm up, and you can have your left arm like lower down. I think there are ballet arms for this, a name, but I don't know what it is. And you're just gonna side bend up and over, keeping lengthen that right side as you side bend to the left, reach down through the right knee, and then come all the way back up. So if you have your leg out to the side, it looks just like this. And over, and up. And if this is easy and you wanna make it a little harder, put both arms up overhead for 3, 2, you got drawing the ribs together on that right side to bring you back up. Last one. Good, and then go halfway over, and then as slow as you can, feel your breath, slide that rib down, come all the way up top. Good, and then over to the other side. So Now left arm lifts, right arm is lower by your torso, and then all the way up and over. Exhale as you come up. Inhale on the over, exhale up. And still think about keeping a little bit of space, even though you're contracting that right side. Again, your leg can be long. And you can always have both arms overhead. Just make sure you're in a nice long line. Your ribs aren't jutting forward. 2 more. And last one. Good. Come all the way up nice and tall, and then all the way over, and then really feel your rib slide down as you come all the way up nice and tall. Good. And then from here, you're going to come onto your back. Bring your ball or pillow with you. And you're just going to put it between your knees. And laying on your back here, make sure that your head is flat on the floor. So if you have a ponytail, make sure it's out of the way. And then just let your arms be heavy on the mat, and then let your shoulders gently externally rotate. You can think about laying there with your palms up if that helps to get your shoulders more on the floor. But your upper body is nice and relaxed. You're going to take a big inhale here, that 360 breath again. Feeling your ribs gently press into the back of, or into the floor. And then as you exhale, feel the engagement of your pelvic floor and squeeze your ball or pillow. And then inhale, release, exhale, squeeze. Then inhale, release. Exhale, squeeze. 2 more. Just noticing if in one position the breathing is a little easier than the other to help you find that pelvic floor connection and the abdominals. Good. And then you can take the ball out. And you're going to bring one hand to your lower abs, and you're going to take a big inhale. And then on your exhale, you're going to float your right leg up to tabletop. And just notice if your abdominals press into your hand. If so, really think about connecting with your breath and not holding your breath moving before you go. And then lower it down, and then switching sides. Just marching here, lifting one leg and then the other into that tabletop position. You can move your leg or your arm down by your side whenever you'd like. But as we move through different exercises, just check in and make sure you're not pressing your abdominals out and creating unnecessary pressure. Good, last one, each side. And then you're gonna pause with your right leg in the sky, and then extend your right leg out and then resist back in. So keeping your heel at more or less the same height, like you're dragging it along a table, hinging at the hip. And then also think that you have a little rubber band from your sitting bone to your heel. And if you bend too fast, you're gonna snap yourself in the back of the leg, which will obviously hurt. So try to create a little bit of resistance for you. If you'd like, you can float your arms up off the ground, giving you a little bit more instability. Last one. Good. Pause here with your right leg in tabletop. You can bring one hand to your abdominals if you need. On your exhale, bring your left leg up into tabletop. With both legs in tabletop here, you're gonna open them out to the side into a little V and then resist to bring them back in. And you can bring them as wide as you can, keeping the thighs at the same height, same distance from your torso the whole time. And also without popping your abdominals, without your low back arching off the floor, whatever feels good. 4 more. Really feel from the inner thighs into the pelvic floor, that squeeze to bring you back in. And you can always lift your arms up if you want this to be a little harder. You can open your arms to a V at the same time as your legs. 2 more. Last one. Good. Lower the arms down, and then you're gonna tap your right foot away and then bring it in. And then tap your left foot and bring it in. And if this is too much, you can always just return to the marching. You can also drop your heels by your butt and just focus on moving the knee away Your foot doesn't need to come anywhere near the ground, just moving that thigh away from your torso for 3. 2 more to each side. And we'll do the single leg stretch on the left. Last one. Good. And then lower the right leg down, extend the left leg long, and resist it back in. Good. Keep your ball handy. We're going to use that in a moment. 5 more. 3. 2. Neck is nice and long. Low back isn't rocking. Your pelvis is nice and square on the mat from right to left as well. Last one. Float your right leg up into tabletop as well. And then float your arms up. Grab your ball in your left hand. You're going to extend your right leg, left arm, and then you're going to come in and you're going to press the ball into the hand, creating a little bit of instability, and then extend. Creating a little pressure, feeling your abdominals descend towards the floor as you bring that in. And if this is too much, just drop your left leg. 3 more. Exhale the whole time you're pressing that ball into your hand. And last one. Good, and then bring that left leg into tabletop if it isn't already. Bring the ball into the right hand now. Right arm, left leg. And you can always lift your left arm if you want to add a little extra challenge. And out. Three more. 2. And last one. And then lower one leg to the ground, then the other, and then put the ball in between your knees. We're gonna do a little bit of bridging here. So in a nice neutral pelvis, tuck the tailbone under, feel the hips come up towards the ribs, peel yourself off the floor, 1 vertebrae at a time, heels slide back towards, or you feel like your heels are sliding back towards your shoulders. And then again, peel yourself all the way back down with that gentle squeeze of the ball. And then again, peel yourself up. Have your gaze be down your nose because where your eyes go, your spine goes. So if you notice that you're looking overhead, you can feel that your cervical spine in your neck starts to arch, and we don't want that. So keeping a nice long neck, squeezing your ball or pillow. And then you're gonna pause here at the top. Ribs are in line with your hips. You're in a nice long line, essentially from your knees to your shoulders. You can always lower your hips down if being in a higher bridge is uncomfortable for you. Little tuck of the tailbone. You're gonna lift your right heel, keep squeezing the ball, and then lift your left hip, squeeze the ball. And then alternating sides, lifting the heel. You can lift your arms if you want more instability. But regardless of what you're doing, whether your hips are half an inch off the floor or like all the way in a full bridge, you want your shoulder blades on the floor, you don't want to be on your neck, and you want your hips nice and square and also not lifting and lowering. So they're staying at the same height. 3 more to each side. Last one. Good. And then you are going to come into a neutral spine. So untuck the pelvis just a little bit, lower the hips an inch, and then lift and squeeze. Lower, lift, and squeeze. And of course, you can do this without anything in between your knees if that's more comfortable. You're just going to have the sensation of pretending like there's something there. So you're still getting that little additional activation. For 5, 4, last one. Good. And then curl the spine down 1 vertebrae at a time. And then you're going to take your prop out from between your knees, bring it off to the side, and then you're gonna have your hands back by your side, and you're gonna lift your hips this time up into a bridge. Staying here, you're gonna lift your right leg and then lower it down. Lift your left leg, lower down. Again, hips stay square and at the same height as you march from one side to the other, trying to minimize that weight transfer. Really use your arms and shoulders to help square you. You can always bend at the elbow and really think about pressing back into the floor if that helps you. Especially it can help you find your upper abs. Shoulders are relaxed. One more time to each side. Then we have some single leg bridging. Last one. Good, and then lift the right leg, pause it here. You're gonna lower your hips down, staying in that neutral pelvis, and then lift. Lower down, and lift, good. Lower, and lift. 5 more. 4, like someone's pulling you straight up. 3, 2. Last one. Pause at the top, lower your right leg, lift the left leg, tap it down for 8. 7. Good, hips are square. Make sure that that left hip isn't hiking up towards your shoulder. 4, 3, 2. And last one, lower that leg down. Curl the tailbone under, lift yourself up to the highest point of your bridge, and then slowly peel all the way down, keeping that tailbone tucked under. Find a little extra space. Your hips touch down a little farther away from your head when they started. Release to neutral, and then bring one knee in and then the other, and gently rock back and forth from one side. Good. And then come over onto your side and then press yourself at least part of the way up. And you're gonna come onto your forearm and then lift yourself up. So you don't wanna be sinking down. Think like you have a scarf or something underneath your ribs and someone's standing above you, holding those ribs up. You're in a nice long line, your head is in line with your spine and your knees are slightly in front of you, but your heels are in line with your butt more or less. You can bring your hand on your hip or down on the floor, or twice. You're just gonna clamshell your top leg, so you're externally rotating as you lift that leg up, and then resist to bring it back down. And then lift up, get a little squeeze in your glute, and then resist as you come back down, so your leg isn't just flopping down to your other leg. And your gaze can be down at your forearm, up at the ceiling, or straight ahead. But either way, try not to be like this. You wanna be in a nice tall upright position. 2 more. Last one. Good, now bring your knees together and lift your foot. So you're internally rotating that upper leg slightly as you lift the foot. And you can always come all the way down onto your side here. Your range of motion will be noticeably different, but you're not really getting any different like in the exercise. Either way, like you're standing, hips are square. 3 more. 2. And last one. And then bring your heels together, lift the knee, lower the knee, lift the foot. So we're doing both of those exercises combined into one nice little package here. And open. Abs are drawn in, pressing away from the floor. Last one. Good, lift that leg up, extend it long. Actually come down onto your side, but you can leave that leg extended long. Point your toe, flex your foot, point it, whatever you want. Either way, long line, bottom leg is bent. You're gonna do a nice circle here, reaching in front of you, gently back behind you, getting a little extension through the hip, using your hand and bottom leg for support. Hips are square. So as you lift, your knee is staying pointing forward and you're not opening your top hip towards the ceiling. Last one in this direction, and then reverse. And lift. 3 more. 2. And last one. You could bring that knee in underneath you and then come up onto your forearm and bring your knees slightly back. You can also have your top leg extended. I'm not going to do full side plank because I'm not ready for it, but you are welcome to do a full side plank if you'd like. If not, I'll do one of the 2 modifications. You're gonna lift your hips up into this modified side plank, or you're on your knees like this, or your top leg is extended, and then tap your hips down and lift, and tap it down and lift. The most important thing here is that your elbow is underneath your shoulder. You are lifting from your bottom ribs, from your hips. Think the bottom side of your body is doing the lifting. You can extend your arm up to the ceiling if you'd like. 3, 2, last one, pause here. Resist your arm down in line with your shoulder and then resist it back up. And then lower down and lift. 4 more. Head in line with your spine. 2. Last one, lift. And then lower your body all the way down. Come into a little side bend. So my knees are not stacked one on top of the other, but my left thigh is on top of my right ankle. And then go ahead and side bend up and over towards your legs, towards that left side. And then bring your hand onto your ribs, left hand onto your right ribs. Take a nice big inhale and just feel the expansion in your ribs. Think about breathing into your hand here. Relax your shoulder as you exhale and try to stretch a little bit deeper. And then plant your right hand down, a little side bend over towards the left, and then we'll go back to the right one more time before we switch sides. And then over to the right. Relax your shoulders. Good, and then switching sides. So forearm or laying all the way down, your choice. Heels in line with your butt. Again, press away from the floor. Like you're standing, you're just at a weird angle. And then externally rotate from the top leg. Hips stay still in space. You can bring your hand onto the very top of your pelvis and like relax your shoulder. Don't do what I did. And gently press down. And you can feel like a little of the sensation of your hip maybe wanting to press up or wanting to move around. So that can be a good piece of feedback for yourself that if no one's watching you, you can use. 4 more. 3, 2, last one. And then you're gonna internally rotate. I'm gonna come down on my side. And resist as you come up, trying not to just click the leg in there and then let it flop down. Regardless of whether you're on your side or propped up on your forearm, you are standing. You have that little bit of space underneath you and the mat, meaning you're not collapsing into the floor. Your body may be touching the floor the whole time, but you're just not collapsing down. 2, last one, and then we're gonna go to that open and close. And open. And close. 4 more. 3. And last one. And now extend your leg long, come down onto your side if you're not there already. And you're gonna send your foot forward, up, back, and around. Again, checking in on your pelvis. Again, this may be the best place where you bring that hand. Nice and slow, like you're moving through molasses. A little extension through the front of the hip, but not in the low back. 2. Last one. And then reverse. Again, using that bottom leg and hand if you need. Press down. 3 more. 2. Last one. Good, bend that knee in. And then come onto your forearm. Again, knees are stacked slightly back, so your heels are a little bit back behind your butt, or that bottom leg extended, whichever you prefer. And then lift yourself up into that side plank and then tap down and lift. And again, you can do this in a full side plank. You're doing the exact same thing. Hips straight up towards the ceiling, lifting from the bottom. Head in line with your spine. 4 more. 3. 2, make sure your hips haven't started opening up towards the ceiling. Last one, hold here, and then lower the arm, lift it up. Resist as you lower, and lift. Again, you can be looking down at your arm, the ceiling, or straight ahead. 3 more. And last one, lift, and then lower all the way down, and then side bend up and over. You can bring your right hand to your left ribs, relax your shoulders. Feel yourself go a little deeper on those exhales, side bend up and over to the right once. And then back over to the opposite direction. Hold over your knees now. Last one. Good, and then you're gonna come down onto your stomach. And then you're gonna bring your hands by your shoulders. We're not gonna be here for very long, but you can bring your legs wide and slightly externally rotated if that's comfortable. And you're gonna think about tucking your tailbone under, abdominals drawing in away from the floor, regardless of the fact that they're still touching. But think about that gentle draw in from your breath. And then your hips are drawing gently towards your ribs. Hands right by your shoulder. Neck is nice and long, and then think about following a marble that's rolling away from you as you lift up into that gentle extension. If you feel this all in your low back, lower down, but also think about that tailbone pressing between your legs, lifting, having extension through your neck, and then lower all the way back down. Legs are heavy on the floor. Exhale as you lift. Find the connection of your ribs, and then lowering all the way back down. 2 more. And last one, this time you're gonna lift and pause. Extend your arms back behind you, and then lower all the way down. Let your cheek come to the floor, let your shoulders round. Externally rotate, lift the shoulders, lift the arms, palms are up, and then reach the palms towards your toes as you float yourself into a little extension. So you're doing a little rocket here. And then lower down, other cheek comes to the floor, round your shoulders forward, lift them, externally rotate, feel the tension in your back as you lift your hands, reach your fingers towards your toes and lift. And then one more time to each side, lowering all the way down. Externally rotate the upper arm, lift the hands, reach. And then last one, left cheek to the floor, round the shoulders forward. Externally rotate, ribs are drawn in, hips are drawn in. Pause here, neck is nice and long. Then you're gonna lift your arms up towards the ceiling for 6, 5, squeezing through those shoulder blades. 3, 2, last one, lowering all the way down. Bring your forearms onto the floor so your elbows are right underneath your shoulders, and then press yourself up. Curl the tailbone under so you're not sinking into your low back. You don't want to look like this. You want to be lifted up ever so slightly. Reach out of those right toes and then bend through the knee and give yourself a little pulse on that right leg. Reach through the toes on the left leg and then pulse, pulse, kick it in and then extend. Switching sides. So the torso isn't moving. You're just giving a little kick, kick, engaging the glute, engaging the hamstring and your calf. And extend. Last one to each side. Right, and then left. Good, and then lower yourself all the way down. Press yourself back into a child's pose. Take a nice breath. And then come onto all fours again. And then from here, curl your toes under. Let your chest sink down towards the floor, press away. So you're doing one little scapula push up here, to set yourself up nicely, we're gonna do a little bit of bear planks to finish out today. So take a big inhale, exhale, find that pelvic floor, TVA, all the abdominal engagement, little draw together in your ribs. And then on your next inhale, keeping that engagement, you're gonna exhale and then float your knees up off the floor. They're about 1 inch off the floor, except everything is black so you can't see. Okay, there we go. A little better. And then lower back down. So on your inhale, you're on the floor, and then exhale, lift, hold for a breath. And then inhale, lower down, exhale, lift, hold for a breath. Neck is nice and long. Tailbone is gently reaching behind you, away from the crown of your head, lower down. This time you're gonna come up and you're gonna hold. And then extend your left leg back behind you and bring it in. And change sides. I said left leg, I moved right, doesn't matter. Alternating legs, staying at the same height of your hover. If this is too much, you're just gonna come back this. You're gonna do one more to each side, and then drop your knees down. Good. Sit back, give your wrists a little shake out for a second, and then come right back. Curl those toes under again. Inhale, exhale, lift up, and then this time find yourself in a down dog. So your down dog, you can have your knees totally bent. My down dog is terrible. It doesn't matter if yours is too. Shoulders away from your ears, and then bend the knees, come back into that bear plank hover, and then release up to that down dog. And then hover. Lift and reach, like someone's pulling your hips back up towards the ceiling, and lift and come back down. Find that length through your spine as you lower down into that bear plank. So take a little pause and back up. Last one. Pause in your down dog. You can give yourself a little, what is this? Walking the dog, bend one knee and then the other. And then lower yourself gently all the way down. And then you can bring your knees back behind you and find yourself in a nice kneeling plank or full plank, or you can join me with your knees basically under your hips. We're gonna do a few push-ups. So go at your own pace in whatever position works for you. Either way, you have that connection in the front of your body between your ribs and your hips. Shoulders right over your, excuse me, wrists, and you're gonna bend your elbows back towards your hips, lower down, and then press up on your exhale. Inhale, lower, exhale, press the floor away. Your spine stays lifted, so think you've got that little scapula push-up in every push-up. So you're maintaining that spinal positioning as you lower. For 3, 2, and last one. Pause at the top, and then go ahead, bring your knees nice and wide, and sit back into a child's pose. Good, and then take a big inhale. Really feel your ribs expand to the sides, to the back, and then exhale. Lower your chest a little bit more towards the floor. As you relax, take one more breath like that. Exhale, release, and then walk your hands over to the left. Breathing into that right side, reaching back from your right sitting bones into your right fingertips. And then over to the left. Same thing, reach in opposition from the left toes, left sitting bone, left fingers. Getting that straight there. Good, and then come to sit on your mat. And then you're gonna cross your right ankle over your left, and then bring your hands behind you. Right ankle over your left leg on your left ankle. And then press yourself up so your back is nice and straight. Then you can gently rock back and forth from one side to the other. And if you'd like, you can also do this lying on your back. And then switch sides. Round your spine and then press yourself up towards the ceiling and gently rock back and forth from one side to the other. And while we do one more stretch, we're going to do some standing roll downs. Actually, no, we'll do some side bends. And I will tell you a little bit more about AFTD and why I appreciate you donating so much. So you're just going to do a seated side bend like we started, rooting through your right foot, side bend up and over to the right. So the AFTD is the fundraising mechanism and the organization that helps support people and families of people who have frontotemporal degeneration or dementia. They now call it degeneration, which is the most common form of dementia for people under 60. My mom is one of those. She was diagnosed when she was 58, and she was diagnosed in May of 2018. It strikes them in the prime of their life, and generally it erodes their ability to speak, make sound decisions, control their movements, and behave within social norms, and also relate to others. So my mom has the behavioral variant, which means that she's extremely apathetic and now no longer speaks pretty much at all. And FTD can devastate familial relationships, the finances and health of family caregivers themselves, and there is no approved treatment. So the AFTD helps to fund research and for therapies and medications. And most providers lack knowledge for appropriate care. It takes the average individual, I think, 3 years to get a proper diagnosis. People are often diagnosed with mental health disorders, which is generally not the case. The average life expectancy is 7 to 13 years after the start of symptoms. But again, that's such a wide range because it takes so long for people to be diagnosed. So this class is in support of the AFTD's Food for Thought campaign, which is part of their annual fundraising event, which is designed to help end FTD. So thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed class. In a few days, I will send the link out to everyone. So you have it. Thank you so much.